Dave here, how are you? Today I'm going to show you the way I was taught as an apprentice to sharpen a plain blade or a chisel. And also I'm going to show you how to prepare a couple of things before you do it. Now I'm a bit old-fashioned. I still use an oil stone and I use a bench grinder. Now the first thing with the bench grinder is to make sure that the wheel on the grinder is dressed. To do that we use a diamond dresser. Now all it is a matter of making sure that all your guards are in place, that you wear protection, that everything is solid as you turn the machine on, you hold the dresser against the wheel, making sure that it can't get caught, and against the wheel, it grinds that wheel down very quickly, so just be aware. And you hold it there and it will give you a straight edge right across the edge here. Now that's pretty important. You might find that during time, after you've been using the bench grinder for many other projects, that the edges will be worn off it, and you know, it's just horrible. It's always good to work with a grinder that's got a really true dressed wheel. So you can get specialized grinders like a Tormek that has a whetstone that through a pool of water turns at 90 RPM. Well, this guy here turns a lot faster than 90 RPM, and there is no pool of water. The reason for the pool of water is to keep everything cool. No chance for sparks, nothing can catch fire, stops the steel on the blade getting too hot and destroying its temper, making it anneal, making it too soft. Won't hold an edge. Anyway, so there we go. This is the guy that I'm going to use. I'm going to show you how to sharpen a plane. I've had this since I was 16, so it's seen a lot of work. How we do it is I take the holder off and then I've exposed the blade. On the back of the blade is a screw, and I use this as a screwdriver. Probably not the best thing to do, but that's the way I was taught. And we undo it, not all of the way, and now we can slide the blade off. I hollow grind my blade. A lot of people don't hollow grind. Why would people hollow grind? Well, because there is a curve from the wheel, and that's how I end up with a hollow ground blade. Up too high, I'm going to create too shallow an angle for my cut for the blade, and if I'm down too low, the angle is going to be too steep. So I like it around about the center. Now that's not very scientific, but that's how I do it. Let me just have a quick back step here for a second. Why are there different angles for blades? Softwoods, you need a low angle around 15 to 20 degrees. Hardwoods, you need the angle a bit steeper because the steel has to resist the hardness of the hardwood. That's all there is to it. So I normally go 25 to 30 degrees if I'm doing a blade for hardwood. It's all good in theory, but this is how it really happens in my workshop. So I have my safety glasses here. I'll pop them on. I've got the guards in place. Now I have a container of water here that I'm going to return the blade into the water to keep it cool. I'm going to have a quick look around the side there. Okay. I can see there's a mark where I'm grinding, so I shall continue. I hold onto the blade at the same place, and I use my finger as a guide against the back here. So when I return it, I'm always in the same spot. Dunk it in the water. And the slightest pressure. And let the wheel do all the cutting. That's beautiful. Done. You can buy little jigs that hook over this, and they do a great job. And you can clamp it on and it'll hold the blade perfectly in the same spot at 90 degrees to the wheel, and they're great. I haven't got one, but I was taught how to do it this way, so that's the way I went with it. Okay, Next thing, now that we've got that angle there, we're going to go over to the oil stone. Yes, I said oil stone, not water stone. That's what I use. Go over to the oil stone and I'll show you how I progress from there. All right, now we're at the oil stone. I've got the blade. The things you need at this stage are an oil stone, some oil, some clamps to hold the stone in position. With this particular oil stone, what I did was on the underside of the box, and I'll just show you that. On the underside of the block that I made for it, I drove in panel pins. One panel pin in each corner, pincers, and I cut them. And that would give me a foot that didn't slip on my bench top. That's been used and used and used. So now all my panel pins are blunt after time. I've got these little clamping elements from Festool and they're going to do the same job for me. The stone itself is double-sided. Coarse one side, fine the other side. It's designed to be used with oil. Water stones, you will get different grades in those and you can go down to something insane like 16,000. For me, I just need the double-sided. All sorts of equipment you can get. I've got this little Veritas bevel gauge as well. I'll show it to this camera here. I actually use this to tell me what angle I've achieved. That's 30 degrees. There's these little things. This is great. You can get a hold of one of these. They're fantastic. It has all the different degrees. It's made out of brass, so it's weaker than the steel. It's not going to touch any of the metal. Very handy. Okay, so we have the blade. I've got some cloth, oil, and WD-40. I use the WD-40 at the beginning just to give the stone a quick clean. Again, clean rag. Next thing I want to have a look at the top of the blade, I want to make sure that it's straight and that there's no holes. All right, I'm going to put some oil on it. Now I've got some oil on there. I'm going to drop the blade down onto it, pull backwards, go forwards and backwards. Now I'm moving the blade around on the stone on purpose. I want to wear the stone evenly. You can also put a bit of WD in with the oil to thin it. Bit of pressure right down on across the blade. I'm not lifting the blade at all, I'm just pushing it down hard onto that particular spot. And you can see we're starting to get a bit of a shine right across the end. I'll show you how to use the guide in a minute, but for the moment I'm going to show you how to find out how to hold it at the right angle. We're going to put the blade flat. We're going to lift it up until we see the oil push away. There it is, just there. So I'm going to hold it at that angle and do a little bit of figure eight. Again with the rag, clean her off and see if we've been touching it right across the end. We have, there's just a little spot there that's not getting it. Now this plain blade is as sharp as most people will get it. I'm going to take it a lot sharper. This is the coarse side. It's extremely sharp. This would work, but I'm going to now make it even sharper. A little bit of oil. We don't need a lot of oil. And also a little bit of WD in with it to wet it down. I'm just going to spread it out using the back of the plane. It's good fun, isn't it? I love this kind of stuff. There we go, we're getting almost a mirror finish on that now, after just that short little bit. That's it. Again, blade down, glasses on. Doing the side with the bevel on it, we'll lift it up until it touches and I see the fluid move away. Can you see the fluid move away then? There we go, that's the angle I've got to be. I'll move this one out. Up until the fluid moves away. There it is. wipe off the oil. And we're nearly there. Turn it over the other way. Now, here's an important thing. Equal wear on your stone. Turn it 180 degrees and it should be fine. That is why when I'm sharpening on the beveled side, I always move the figure 8 because I'm using the stone as much as I can. See, the blade is actually wider. The blade is actually wider than the stone, so I have to move it around on it. And so that's how we do it. I raise it up until it pushes that out, pushes that little bit out. Then my figure 8. You'll see also I'm holding it with my thumb at the back, and that's actually lifting against the hand pulling it down. So I'm holding it front and back and pushing in the middle. And so then I've got good control. I can steer it. And then a last little bit again there. Now there's a thing called a strop. I would advise most people to use the rag. Just get a big rag and get it so you can pull the burr off. There's always going to be a little bit of a burr on the steel, and people use a leather strop with a little compound, polishing compound. Sharpness. We need to know if it's super sharp, and we need to feel if there's a burr. Pull your thumb back across the top of the blade, either side, and if you can feel a little burr, give it a rub, either side, back onto the rag here, clean the rubbish off, like so, and it should be right. Now I think that that's going to be super sharp. I'm going to hold it, and let's see if it'll cut it. Look at that. That's sharp. If you're interested, I'll show you how to set up the Veritas Mark II. It has a registration jig, and along the side here, it has, on the registration jig itself, it's got red, yellow, and green. I don't even look at the red and the green. I only work with the yellow, which is the standard angles. So the standard angles, it'll tell you after, of course, remember we use this little guy here to find the angle. Then you'll move along here and you'll see there's indents. So you slide this along to whichever indent you need to go to. So I'm going to put it in that little indent that's 30 degrees. Up the top here, we've got a little clamp that's got a dovetailed section in the top here. On the front of the actual jig itself, there is a dovetailed section as well. So we're going to slide that on. And you'll see there it'll say 1, 2. Now the 1 and the 2 relate to the full width of the blade in inches. So I'll measure this one, and I see that it is 2 3/8 of an inch. There's a little point there. I'm going to tighten it up at 2 1/8, or 2 3/8, I should say. Tighten him up, turn it over, bevel up. Now with the bevel up, we're going to slide. What we're doing is setting the blade in there. So the blade is now centered. We're going to undo this and slide the jig off. Slide the registration jig off. Now, I have the blade perfectly centered and also at the right distance for that angle. So now I can put it down on there. It's very easy. So I put my thumbs down inside here and fingers there. Thumbs down under the blade, there's a rest point, and my fingers, there's little holes there. Then I can put it there and sharpen away. The other thing is, on the side here, there's a little thing that shows 12 o'clock. It's pointing up. I'm going to leave it in that position. When we want the micro bevel, we pull it out and rotate it 90 degrees, or 180 degrees to point down. That picks the back up ever so slightly. So we'll just keep on, again, turn the stone around, drop it back down there. So we're getting full coverage. I did say we were going to do the micro bevel as well, so I'm going to pull this this guy here. I'm going to pull it out and around. Now you can see that little dot on the brass wheel there is pointing down. And that's pushed this roller, that has pushed this roller down a little bit, which has made the angle a little steeper, so it's picking the back up just a touch. We'll do another couple of passes with that. I reckon we can take it out of the Mark II. This is a brilliant device. And then we'll give it just one or two little passes on the back. Now we'll just drop it off a little bit. It's the same system when we do chisels as well. Chisels just drop into that jig and away you go. Don't tighten the jig up too tight. You know, we're not going to be Samson. If you tighten up too much, you'll break it. Simple as that. I'll get the plane. Backing iron is going to go on the plane. What we do here is we don't just put it on and slide it backwards. We don't want, this is steel and it's going to stuff that edge up, so we want to put it on sideways. You put it on like so, bring the blade down, lift it over the backing iron, and then pull it back until we are maybe 2 millimeters away from the edge. And then a little nip up with your hand. Then we can make sure that the backing iron is parallel all the way. And that's looking pretty good. Once we've got it to that stage, we can get our Stanley screwdriver. Probably not really a good idea, but that's what we do. And rotate it. Check that there's nothing in the throat of the plane there at all. And then we turn the whole thing upside down so that this screw is facing down like so. This guy here adjusts the angle of the plane. Drop the clamp in, turn it over. The blade is looking pretty good. Yep. Don't have it out too far. All we're doing at the moment is getting it straight. We're going to wind it back up into the body of the plane. At the same time, keep our eye on adjusting it so it's parallel with the sole. Always put a plane down on its side. Don't put it down flat like that, even though I did do it last week in the last episode. Put it down sideways. Otherwise people will give you a hard time. No, that's not the reason. Don't put it down flat, because over time it'll knock the blade back up or move it around, and it'll jigger up your setting. And I guess it could dull the blade as well. Let's see if it's sharp or not. Let's get a bit of timber. Well, that doesn't look too bad. Not a bad shaving out of that at all. That's as smooth as. I can flip her up on the edge. That's pretty effortless. There you go. That's just me sharing how I sharpen blades. I get a good result. The shavings speak for themselves. If you've got any more questions on how to sharpen a blade, by all means, join the discussion in the comments below, and either I or someone else will jump in and give you a hand and say, yeah, you're doing this right, you're doing that right, maybe you could do it a little bit better this way. Anyway, thanks for watching. Share it around, leave comments, and plenty of likes. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.